started recording, and I'm going to play intro now.
There are 0 more days before college football games are played. Not
154?
Zilch. No, not 154. Not even one. Football happens tonight. Kyle's back. I'm still here. This is Bootleg. Let's get it. All right, so on today's show, we've got JMU defensive back Rashad Robinson, a totem pole that really resonates with your boy right about now. And we're also going to talk through the topic that's sweeping the nation via Twitter this week, college football attendance.
I'm over it.
I kind of am too, and I'll definitely
But
be
it's
over it
good
after
that
we get
it's
to
good
it.
that we're talking about it. I'm just saying I'm overseeing
We wouldn't be doing our job as college football people if
That's
we didn't
right.
at least acknowledge the issue that everybody is claiming is an issue.
Right.
Claiming.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into any of that, dude, another cross-country road trip for you,
Yeah.
and you made it back again. You keep defying the odds.
No
here.
tickets, no accidents. I'm on a heater right now.
I appreciate you pointing out the no ticket, no accident thing now, right before you and I hop on a massive road trip together, because
yeah.
that didn't jinx us at all.
No. We'll be good.
Would you call it a voyage? Can you call?
Oh yeah.
Can you call it a voyage if it's on land?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or would you call it a pilgrimage?
Either works. When you're traveling that far, it's a voyage.
Take us through this one a little bit. I mean, obviously, we had some stuff happen in Baltimore, which I pointed out last week. You also managed to navigate through a hurricane just to get to Baltimore. That's the kind of commitment that you have to flow into the people, which much appreciated. But what stands out about this one?
A lot of things. So I left Austin July 12th to go to Fargo for 5 days and cover a wrestling tournament. So I do that, and I come back, and we'd wanted to go home for Olivia to be able to do the baby shower, everything at home with family and all that stuff. So our best opportunity was right after Fargo, before she started school. And before going home, she went to a teacher's conference in Atlanta. So after Fargo, I packed up Hank and everything else in the car, and she flew to Atlanta, and I drove so we could have Hank with us and not have to kennel him. So that was much different. It's the first time either of us have done the drive, just Hank and nobody else. So that was a little rough to deal with. It's about 14 hours from here to Atlanta, so that wasn't the most fun, but made it there in a day. And then Hank and I chilled in La Quinta for a day and a half, really, just doing work and hanging out while she was at her conference. And then when she finished up Friday, hit the road again, got back to Parkersburg about 3 a.m. early Saturday morning. That was about an 8-hour drive. And then we were there for a couple of days, and then I left Monday morning and drove 5 hours to Baltimore.
Yes, you
and
did.
as you said, about 45 minutes outside of Baltimore, it was unreal. I was having a hard time seeing out of the windshield. Like, I was on the highway, the speed limit is 70.
Problematic.
And I was doing like 35. And everyone had like their hazard lights on so you could like see their cars because it was coming down so hard.
Right.
And I was just like, I'm not going to pull over. I'm just going to go slow. Because there were a few cars that had pulled over. I was like, not doing it. I'm just getting through this. So after about 15, 20 minutes, got through that. And then we spent the rest. Made it to Baltimore. Had a nice time at CA Media Days. Drive back to West Virginia after like a little over 24 hours in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And
27.
yeah. And then spent the rest of the week there. And then usually we just drive straight through the night, don't stop. And we'll just trade off a bunch. But with Olivia being pregnant and all, she needed to get out of the car and like sleep in a bed. So we stopped in Little Rock, actually, at
I'm sorry.
La Quinta there. It was all right. It's literally right in the middle of downtown Little Rock.
Man, you're like a commercial for La Quinta right now.
I know. Well, they accept dogs, so it's always a good spot.
Love them.
And then hit that took about 11 and a half hours to get there. And then we had about 8 or so left on Sunday.
Okay, let's do the math on this. You got 18 from here to Atlanta.
14.
14.
Uh-huh.
And then how many from Atlanta to?
8.
Okay, so now we're at 22.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 back to Baltimore, which puts you at 27.
Yep.
And then 5 back to Parkersburg, which puts you at 32.
Yep.
And then 11.5 to Little Rock, which puts you at 43.5.
Yep.
And then how many for the last leg?
8.
51.5 hours.
Yep.
Is that right? Did I do that right?
No, that's right.
I'm not super good at math.
Me driving the entire time. Olivia did not drive once.
53.5 hours. Do you have any podcast recommendations for the people other
Yeah,
than Bootleg?
I do. Culpable is really good. It's a kind of a murder mystery type thing. They're both true crime. And then Without Warning is pretty good. Another true crime. But yeah, those are what I would suggest.
Okay, jot those down. Yeah, and you're not done with the road.
No.
Because in, T-minus like 48 hours?
Something along those lines.
Whatever. Sunday morning, we're flying to Baltimore. No, we're flying to Norfolk.
Norfolk. Baltimore first, then Norfolk.
Norfolk first.
No, but I think we have 2 flights. I think it goes into
Are you
Baltimore and then
serious?
Baltimore to Norfolk. I'm pretty sure.
That's unfortunate.
Because I got really confused and thought I messed it up at first.
Maybe we should have done the trip in reverse. We could have skipped the connecting
That's
flight. Okay. So, yeah, CAA training camp, road trip, me, you, our boy David Wells.
Yep.
We're either starting this thing out at William and Mary or Richmond, TBD a little bit.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Well, unexpectedly TBD. William and Mary, if you're listening, holler at your boy. We gotta square some things up. Otherwise, we're gonna go hang out with the Spiders right away. But the plan is to go from William and Mary to Richmond to James Madison to Towson, 4 schools, 9 days, and we're gonna work in Camden Yards.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I gotta go to Camden Yards.
They have a nice little series with the Astros while we're in town.
Oh, great. We'll watch Zach Greinke throw. Shout out to Dave Vatz at Towson. Gold star for that guy. He's gone out of his way to make sure our stop in the great state of Maryland is top notch.
Awesome.
I was on the phone with him yesterday for what was supposed to be 5 minutes, turned into like 15. Lined everything up. It's going to be a great stop there. Even invited us to stay an extra day, which doesn't happen often. So even relatives don't ask me to stay an extra day. So appreciate Dave. Somebody page the commish, let him know. Dave,
Joey
Vats,
D.
Towson, my man gets it. Anyway, so yeah, we're headed right back where we came from. 10 days on the road, or 11? 11? I don't know.
I think 11 with travel days.
It's a long time.
It was 10. It's 10.
Whatever.
But yeah, still
Double
a
digits.
very long time. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm just trying to get moved into my first home, which, bit of a challenge when you're never actually at the home.
Yeah.
Just stacking up appointments. Tomorrow, I have AT&T, followed by ADT, with furniture deliveries mixed in as well.
Well, home security.
Yeah, home security. That was a weird deal. I had taken Griffey for a walk yesterday, and it's 101. So maybe not a great choice on the part of the pet owner here. I was a bad dog father, but he was just like, I walked in and he was immediately talking shit because I hadn't been there for like 9.5 hours, followed by the day before I hadn't been there for like 9 hours, and he was really bored. So he's trying to play with this little squeaky pig, and I know that he doesn't actually like the squeaky pig. So then I was like, okay, you super need some activity. So I was like, you want to go for a walk? And of course he said yes, and we took off. And I was only going to walk around the block, but he was really into it. Nose was working hard, and I thought, well, let's stretch it out a little bit. So instead of going around the block, we walked all the way around this elementary school nearby. And when we went around the elementary school, I realized this is going to be like a mile walk. And so we get back to the house, and he's like panting hard, and I'm like really worried. Like I've got like ice cubes rubbing him on his paws, and I'm like trying to like cool him off around his neck. And he finally like stops freaking out and like relaxes, and I'm breathing a sigh of relief because I don't have to explain to Katie what happened to her dog. And there's a ring at the doorbell, and he freaks out all over again. I'm like, oh my God. So I walk to the door, and I'm not happy. And this lovely young lady is standing at my door wearing an ADT polo. And I thought that Katie had probably already set it up, so I was trying to be polite, and then she like wanted to come inside the house. So I was like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
So she comes inside. She's in the house for like 20 minutes, and she's like checking doors and magnets and like already pitching me on the ADT stuff, but I already know that we're going to do it. She doesn't know that I know that I'm going to do it. So I let her go through her whole spiel. It's like 20 minutes long. And finally, at the conclusion of it is when I secured my home, Kyle. It will be a fortress locked down.
That's good.
I get a touchscreen. I've never had a touchscreen security monitor in my house before. That's exciting. So you could pitch La Quinta. I'm going to pitch ADT. So ADT.
Official sponsors.
So Katie didn't actually talk to her. I buried the lead there. This girl just like walked up to my house out of nowhere.
She cold called you guys.
She cold knocked. Or cold doorbell rang. Yeah, I've never seen that before.
That's
but
bold.
You know what? Being aggressive paid off in
That's
that
right.
instance. So we're going with ADT. Don't try to break into my house because the alarm, I'm told, rings at like 9,000 decibels. It'll shatter your eardrums.
That's going to be really bad when you guys accidentally set it off.
I know. I thought about that.
Yeah.
But anyway. So I'm never there. We got all these people lined up for future deliveries, future appointments, getting everything set up. Hopefully by end of day tomorrow, I actually have functioning internet at the house. No one can break in, and maybe I have a couch to sit on. That's the goal. And
Nothing
if Katie's,
right now?
What's that?
Nothing right now? No furniture?
We have one love seat. So it's tricky because the downstairs doesn't really work for like actual life. It's like a formal sitting area. You walk directly into it, so I didn't want to try to make it a TV spot. So there's a media room upstairs, which is actually going to end up being like the hangout, the TV watching part of the house. But the only thing up there is a love seat. So one of us gets to hang out, but the other one has to lay in the floor.
Gotcha.
Not the most comfortable scenario. So there will be a couch added tomorrow,
Okay.
God willing. And if Katie's still here when I get back from Baltimore, then I know we've really made it. Because if we can survive our first actual home purchase, plus the move, plus me spending more time on the East Coast and actually in that house for the first few weeks, then we're golden. Nothing can stop us.
Yep.
We're good to go. But moving sucks. You know this. You just
I
moved
did,
recently.
yeah, just 2
but
months ago.
it's not always for the reasons you would expect, though. Like, it's all the stuff that you don't think about. Like, yeah, that giant couch is going to be a problem. If you hire movers, it's going to be their problem, but it's still going to be a problem. But it's like these random drawers with little tiny objects that you don't even know what they are, or if you should keep them, or shoes, or trying not to break picture frames, or stuff like that. And it got me to thinking, Kyle, if you had to do a totem pole of worst possible items to have to deal with during a move,
This was a good one.
I felt good about it.
Yeah,
So I think I led off last time.
I think you're right.
So if you're on board with this particular totem pole, I say go,
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
for it. Lead right in.
Yeah, as you mentioned, our move was probably a little bit easier than your guys's, as we were just moving to a different apartment in the complex.
Yeah, but that's tricky, difficult, because I would assume that you kind of undersell how difficult it's going to be.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you're like hoisting a chair across the parking lot.
No, yeah. That's kind of how I wanted to do it. And Olivia's like, no, we have to box everything up. And I'm like, no, we're throwing it in the car and we're driving it to the other apartment. And it was kind of we came to terms on that. She did box some stuff up. But anyways, with the first pick, I will take the washer/dryer.
Oh, that's a good one.
It was the worst thing to move. And so the new unit already had it. So we were going to take the ones that we bought to storage, just because the new ones are already in there, nice and everything, much newer. But getting it out and downstairs, and the stairs were narrow and had this big railing on each side, it might have been the worst thing to move.
When we moved ours, so I haven't moved a washer and dryer since Kansas City, but when we moved from Kansas City to Dallas, but I remember that the washer, like, it was just getting water everywhere.
Yep.
Like the little hose.
Nope, that
I don't know
happens.
how that much water is stuck in your washing machine, but it was awful.
Yeah, that happened. And then trying to fit it, either move it to where it fits in between the railing, or like carry it where it's higher than the railing, was a pain.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I thought we were going to bring like this apartment stairs down a few times, because we eventually just started like scooting it down one step by one step, and it was just like doom, doom.
Well, it only weighs
doom.
about 400 pounds.
I know.
So
It was awful.
that was an excellent choice. I'm going to go pull-out couch for my number one choice. It's an awesome thing to have in your house.
Yep.
Like when you have company over, it keeps you pretty agile with like an undetermined number of guests. You don't have to worry about not having somewhere. Even if you don't, if you run out of beds, you're still fine. But my God, that thing is heavy. I mean, that's the heaviest piece of furniture that I've ever owned. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's heavier than the washer and dryer. Heavier than all the heavy things is what I'm getting at. It's bulky and it's like impossible to move, and you got like the bed that wants to fall out while you're trying to lift it up. Yeah, and to make matters worse, the poor movers that we got for this one, I made them take it upstairs because I wanted it in that media room I was talking about.
Yeah, you said that they hated you, right?
Yeah, well, first two things. It didn't match the downstairs thing because we wanted to go with like the white furniture theme, which we already had, so it worked out great. I didn't want to have like a brown and a white when I didn't have to. Interior decorator here. And also, if we put it up, then it was again like an extra bedroom because there's like two up there. But if you need a third bed, then you just roll that thing out and boom, you're good. So it had to go up. I even told them if they couldn't get it up, I'm gonna sell it. Just leave it in the garage. But credit to them. They gave it the old college try. They really brought their A game that day. I thought the poor guy in the back was gonna die, but he survived. And we got it up there. We didn't destroy the walls, which I thought we might. And the couch is mostly in one piece. So it's up there. But the point is, they're always terrible. I've owned like 3 of them. And they're one of my favorite pieces when I'm actually using them. But when it's time to move them, it's god-awful. So give me that pull-out couch at the top of my totem pole. And right beneath the pull-out couch, kind of a dark horse favorite here, but I want to make sure I get it on the board.
Okay.
Lamps.
Okay. I can see that.
They're all awkward shape. You basically have to leave them like standing alone. You can't pack them in a box because obviously if you put them in a box, they're probably going to break for hours. And Katie loves lamps, so
we don't have many lamps, so
we have like 5 lamps, maybe 6. I don't know. She always comes home with a lamp, but we have to take the shade off all of them because it's got like some glass shade going on. So you got to pull that off because that would break. And then you have to keep those separate, wrapped in paper in a box. And then there's the light bulb too. I never take the light bulb off, but I've broken some light bulbs because I didn't take them off. So that's a hassle. And the whole thing is just dumb because ultimately what you're going to end up doing is putting the lamps in your car because you don't want to put them in the moving truck.
Right.
Because again, they'll break all over the place. So then you put them in your vehicle, and then they're awkward. And like every time you have to apply the brakes at all, they're like sliding, reaching back, trying not to let them fall. And for what, man? For like a $40 lamp, I'm going to all this trouble.
So ain't worth it.
Anyway, maybe it's just because I'm particularly irritated about lamps right now, but I'm going to go lamps number 2 on my totem pole.
I like it. It's outside the box. I'm going to go probably a little...
It is outside the box. You can't pack them in the box.
That's true. Going to go a little unconventional here, one you might not have thought of, but dishes. So
yeah, dishes suck.
I just wanted to like get them and put them in the back of my car and just drive carefully over. And then Olivia's like, no, we need boxes and I need stuff to wrap them in. And so it takes a ridiculous amount of time to like properly pack them.
It took us a full week.
Yeah, it's awful. And then they're in a box and extremely heavy. And usually a weird box to like carry, like a super long one or like a really deep one. At least that's the way it was for us. And then you have to be extra careful with certain ones because it's like really fine china. And I'm just like, just give me the damn dishes and let me put them in the car. I'm not going to break them and I'll get them in there. So I'll go with dishes there.
Okay.
And then along the same vein, it's not super heavy, but it can be very awkward, and that is TVs. It's obviously very, very precious cargo.
The most precious.
Yes.
Most important thing.
Yes. And it's usually like really awkward to the big flat screen. Ours has this really weird base on it, and I didn't want to have to take it off to move it across the parking lot. So I'm like trying to like get it in there carefully. And like I said, it's not heavy or anything, but it's just awkward. But it's that there's pressure there too.
Oh yeah.
Because if you break it, then you blew the game.
Absolutely.
It is your fault.
Yeah, you fumbled at the goal line.
Exactly. You have to buy a new one, and you blew a perfectly good TV, so I'm going to go TV.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'll take it a step farther. I'm a big hanging the TV on the wall guy. But if I'm going to hang it on the wall, I don't want to see the wires.
Right.
So for me, it's like beyond just the move, which I don't know. The TV thing for me this time wasn't that bad because the way I did it was I just took all the TVs down and wrapped them in blankets, put them in my car, and drove them over before anything else.
Yeah, smart.
So, yeah, well, it's twofold. I hope that Katie and my mother-in-law are not listening, but I milked that trip to the house with the TVs to try to avoid work back at the rent house.
There you go.
So I took extra careful care with the televisions, walking them into the house. I put them all in the room they were going to belong in. And it was kind of therapeutic for me, that part, because it was quiet and there was no commotion going on around me. But once you get them there, then you have to put them back up. And if you hang your TVs on a wall, that's like a full day project.
Yeah.
Literally, like my brother came up from Houston and we put the wall mounts up and hung all the TVs, and you have to cut the little hole to drop the wire, and you have to not tear up your wall, and it's very pressure packed. Arguably the most important part of the entire move, and it's just hanging over your head because you're not going to do it right away. You're going to move all the stuff in, knowing that you have this like very important step left at the end.
Credit to you though. I saw it looks good.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Credit to my brother.
It's impressive.
My brother's he's like a moving magician.
I want to be a TV wall mount guy, but I don't want to do it until we have a house. I don't want to deal with it in the apartment.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
That's one of the things too. Is like beyond putting the mounts back up. Like when you move out of a spot,
right?
You have to fill all the holes and paint over it.
Exactly.
And I literally got to the point where the last couple of places that we went, I just left the wall mount on the wall. Like, here you go, gift from me to you, hoping that they saw it that way. And so far so good. I haven't actually been charged for that yet. So. I'm all the way with you on the TVs. For my third one on the totem pole, I'm gonna go with. Are you 4 deep already? Or are you 2 in?
I'm 3 in.
3 in. How does that work?
I should have had to do another one here.
Oh no, you started. You're right. You know we never can figure out the snake draft, or at least I can't.
No.
Okay.
That's fine.
Well, whatever. For my my third one, wherever the hell I am in the order here.
You're third.
The next thing I'm gonna talk about is the grill.
Mm.
It gets treated like it's a real sturdy object, but it's really not. Like, they're not that sturdy. My last 2 major moves, the grill was a shell of its former self whenever we got where we were going. Like, it just never was the same at all. I mean, I had one grill that we moved just across town in Dallas that, like, took my eyebrows off after I tried to light it one time. It was very angry about the whole situation. This time it appears that I did make it with my grill intact.
Okay.
Based on the chicken thighs I made last night, which not so humble brag. They were fire. Your boy killed it. I think it made it unscathed, but only time will tell. So the grill is the thing that, again, everybody treats it like this real sturdy object that gets tossed on the moving truck, but then it's just on the moving truck rattling around and those wires and everything. But there's no better way to do it. You can't put a grill in your car.
No.
So you just got to go for it. And they're heavy. And they're important. They're not as important as a TV, but they're close.
Yeah.
So, grill, number 3. And number 4 was going to be TVs. I don't know why I kept it that low. Well, I do know why I kept it that low. Just because I thought the moving them out portion wasn't as difficult as putting them back up. But then you stole it, so it doesn't matter. So, for 4... I don't know if this technically counts, but for the purposes of this today, it's going to count.
Lay it on me.
The detached garage or shed. First of all, if you've ever had one of these, you already understand where I'm going with this. But I've never actually had an attached garage, now that I think about it, which is kind of weird, I guess. Those, I'm sure, suck a lot too, and I'll find out when we move this time. But the detached garage or shed or whatever you want to call it, I just want to call attention to the whole thing because it's a segment of the move that it's like the worst one to try to figure out because you just throw random stuff out there. I mean, it's got everything from like lawnmowers to Christmas ornaments to name it. Yeah. It's out there. Bicycles that you've never ridden, Katie. And I'm always moving in the summertime for whatever reason. That worked out that way. So it's always like 130 degrees in there. Spiders and palmetto bugs and all kinds of just disgusting insect life. Every box that you pick up you're either risking your life or you're trying to become Spider-Man. And there's like it's awful. Like my heart rate was so high when I was trying to get stuff out of there. Like I felt like I was in a battle.
Freaked out.
Yeah, not fun. So just because that whole unit of your house is so bad, I feel like it should count.
I like it.
I'll put my whole totem pole in my detached garage. How about that?
No, I like it. I think it can go on there. For my final one, I will go with a super heavy, just like dresser.
Mm-hmm.
So Olivia had one of these in our bedroom, and it is bulky and it is wide, and there's not an easy way to try to carry it or hold it or get any kind of grip on it.
No.
And it was awful. Just once again, going down steps with all this stuff is, luckily we're on the first floor now, but getting it down the steps was not easy.
I was going to say, if you're on the second floor now, we got to get you a dolly.
Yeah, no, we're on first floor now. But we carried it down. We got it done, but just those big, heavy wood dressers, not fun.
Yeah. You know the one that was in my dining room, that big brown, ugly one? It follows me around like a bad penny. Katie will not let me get rid of it. Well, that one is the gift that keeps on giving because we moved it over to the new house, left it in the garage, and now it is sitting on my back porch because we were painting it.
Okay.
So, yes, Saturday, one of those days, it was out in the backyard, and it was just primering it and then painting it, and now we're going to finish it, or I think is what you call it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not really a painter. But, yeah, so that thing, I cannot get rid of that thing. It just follows me around, and now it has invaded my oasis on my back porch. So I got to get that thing upstairs, which is going to be the other part that sucks.
Yeah, that will not be fun.
All right. Well, that was talking furniture.
We nailed that.
I really think we did.
Yeah.
We're getting good at those.
Oh,
Just in time to stop doing them. No good segue for this, but let's dive right into it. We have a guest on the show today, kinda. We already talked to him. Rashad Robinson, 2018 CAA preseason Defensive Player of the Year. Suffered a toe injury last summer, right before the season began. Initially, they thought it was turf toe. Turned out to be an injury that required surgery, cost him 6 months of rehab, and took away the whole season. Fortunately for him, he had not used his red shirt, so he didn't even need to file a medical appeal. He just got 2019 back. And so, yeah, he's back. He's the face of JMU football in a number of ways. And we caught up with him for a little Q&A. So check it out. Rashad Robinson, standout from James Madison. Look, man, I had a different question to lead off with, but I can't take my eyes off that left hand. Is your arm tired?
Not
You've been walking around with that on your hand all day long?
Not at all.
Golly.
Trying to get another one.
Okay, I heard that.
Yeah.
Preseason CAA Defensive Player of the Year last year, everything was looking up, and I don't mean to start this thing on a downer, but suffered the foot/toe injury and ended up missing all of last season. I think that is really the place to start here because your story is one of expectations followed by redemption. So if you could take me back to that moment, you're sitting there, you guys are rolling, and you're about to start your season, and then that happens. What did that feel like, and how were you able to battle through that?
I remember it like it was yesterday. It was the last week of camp, actually. The very last week, the last Saturday of camp. And I did it and got the MRI. I'm thinking it's just a normal, regular foot injury. I feel like I stumped my toe. And then they said the swelling and stuff didn't go down after a couple of days, and I couldn't walk in the shoe. And then when they gave me the news, I instantly, tears just started rolling, emotionally. And because all I heard was 6 months. And I'm like, man, you mean to tell me I won't be able to suit up again until next August, a whole year? So it was, honestly, I could say it was the toughest thing I ever went through in my life. But I got to give a big shout out to all the guys in that locker room that was there for me and helped me get through it every week. Guys were checking on me all season, and I can kind of pick my spirits up, and it just turned into me being blessed to have the opportunity to have another year because, like a lot of people say, it was my senior year, but I didn't redshirt. So, if I would have redshirted, it would have been career ending, it would have been over. So I'm just blessed to even have the opportunity to come back, and redeem myself.
Obviously nobody would choose to have that happen, and if you could go back and change it, you may or may not. But what type of thing can an athlete, and you in particular, take from a situation like that and make a negative into a positive? Mm-hmm. Or how did you go about doing that?
Basically just not take anything for granted. Every practice, every rep, every drill, I was just, I was loving it up, and just in the snap of a finger, everything was taken away. So then when I come back this year, it's just not taking anything for granted, And yeah, I wouldn't change anything because I believe everything does happen for a reason. And that's what I was, telling my teammates because they was all asking me how was I getting through it. And I say, man, I'm just gonna try to come back bigger and better and stronger, faster than I did last year, and just try to redeem myself, like you said.
No doubt. So I heard that Coach Cignetti compared you to two players, Phillip Rivers and Julio Jones. And he said you're like them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what he meant by that is like that's the mentality that you have. That's the type of player that you are. Can you elaborate on that and what that means, like to hear your coach say something like that?
It's truly, truly an honor and a blessing. My mom even called and told me about the little article that she read that my name was even mentioned into a future Hall of Famers. Like, I would never thought growing up that would even be the the factor. But I just take it as I just try to be the hardest worker, have the highest IQ, and just never stop working. I'm competing with somebody every day, and I want to win everything that I do. And I kind of took it upon myself, that I'm not just competing with, guys on the team for a spot or guys in the conference. There's guys worldwide that want to, get to where I am. And there's kids all across the country that would die to have the opportunities that I have. So I just try to use that mindset to motivate myself.
Definitely.
Being a teammate with a guy like Jimmy Moreland, you see, you work with him day in, day out, and then you see him go to the league and get drafted. What does that do for you, to show you that you can do it from James Madison?
Oh yeah, motivation. Jimmy Moreland is one of the closest guys that I've become in my 4 years at JMU, and we talk 24/7 all the time, and he just gives me motivation every day. Just man, look at me, like I'm not there yet. I still got to make the team, but we can't do it from FCS, and you have the talent to do it. So we try to help each other. I give him pointers, he gives me pointers. We check on each other, but it really does give me a whole lot of motivation to say, he can get invited to the Senior Bowl, he can go get drafted and things like that. And it just puts a big spotlight on JMU that guys here can ball.
No question. I have to ask, obviously, Coach Houston, probably, your guy for the first part of your career, and he leaves to go to East Carolina, and you guys accomplished so much while he was at James Madison. But the individual replacing him, Coach Cignetti, heck of a run at Elon.
Oh, yeah.
So what has the transition been like from, obviously from Houston to Cignetti?
Oh yeah, it's been a very smooth transition. Coach Cignetti is a very well-known name, especially him coming from working with somebody like Nick Saban. He really knows the culture of winning, and we've had that culture at JMU. So he came in with very, very high expectations, as he should. So we just been working hard at living up to those expectations and trying to stay focused.
Now I want to take a step back, if I could, because your journey to this point, one of the top players at the FCS level, for that matter, one of the top defensive backs in the country, I think we could say, has been nothing if not unique. And obviously at the high school level, Rivals of 24/7 gave you a grand total of 0 stars. You're a quarterback. You end up at James Madison, and you turn yourself into one of the premier defensive backs in the country. Can you just, for those that don't know your story, can you just talk through that process, coming from where you came from to where you are now?
Wow, yeah, it's kind of is unique. I didn't play a down of defensive back. I played maybe 2 downs at safety my entire high school career. Played strictly quarterback. Had every offer was for athlete except one offer. My very first offer was for quarterback at Army, but I knew I was too small. I was 5'10", 160 pounds coming out of high school. But going into freshman year, it was kind of the toughest year I've had at JMU, especially I'm behind the 8 ball at Division I. Playing cornerback, everyone's out there, with the technique and all that, and I'm just an athlete out there. But just hard work and consistency and just trusting the process, and it just helped me get to where I am today.
Is there anything that you were able to take from playing quarterback in high school to apply that to being a DB and kind of see things through the lens of a quarterback flipped on the other side of the
field?
field?
I get asked that a lot. Absolutely. I really feel like they helped me with my IQ, especially how routes are supposed to be ran, the depth of how important depth of routes are, and especially the timing of routes and things like that, and different concepts route-wise. It really helped me coming up through college.
Now, I know Kyle did a little research on social media, and what was the thing that...
So I was looking at your Twitter yesterday, and you seem to be really into the NBA free agency.
Oh yeah.
So who are you a fan of, first of all?
Warriors.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Even after the trade,
All right,
Warriors.
can you take this mic off?
Warriors.
What was the craziest? What do you think of the Warriors' moves first? Getting
Warriors
D'Angelo
moves?
Russell.
He's gonna fit in.
Okay.
It's gonna be a sweeper. All we need now is a big man. We need a star big man. You know, Willie Cauley-Stein, he's gonna get the job done. But if we get a good big man in free agency, we're gonna be back on top, especially when Clay get back.
Okay.
Everyone's sleeping on the Warriors right now.
How you feeling about KD?
KD, I mean, everyone's seen it coming, you know, but I'm just glad he didn't go to like the Lakers or something like that.
Well, it's nice that y'all saw it coming because I'm a Thunder fan and we didn't see it coming.
Yeah, oh yeah,
So-
yeah. I would be mad if I was a Thunder, but everyone's on the Lakers train right now. But you gotta hold your horses because the Clippers and Warriors.
Yeah, the Clippers might have something for them.
And can't forget about the Rockets too, because Russ and James Harden. That's gonna be.
Why are you taking shots at me, Rashad? We just met. We just met. All right, man. So off of basketball, back onto football. Looking ahead to 2019, team goals, individual goals for yourself. What are they?
Try to win every game. Try to go 1-0 every week. That's something that's been our motto since Coach Houston got there, and we just kept that culture going in the locker room. Try to go 1-0 every week because we do play in the best conference in the nation, and as we seen last year, any team can win any game on any given Saturday in our conference, And every year it is a sweeper team that will catch you off guard. And so we just try to go 1-0 every week, and then eventually win the conference and try to go and run at that national championship again.
Sure.
Individual goals, I try not to set those just because I try to focus on the team goals first, because winning those individual goals with your team going, 500 or below, it really doesn't mean anything. It just means that, y'all didn't get the job done. So I just try to set my team goals, and individual goals will come as they come.
So not only do you guys play in the toughest FCS conference, you start the season at West Virginia, an established Power 5 program. No, I'm from West Virginia, big West Virginia fan. But so first of all, take it easy on them. And what do you circle that like on the calendar, like, hey, this is the time for us to show the country like what we're about?
Absolutely. I think anyone would, be telling them how they say they didn't circle. It's a chance to play, in one of the most well-known programs in the nation, and that conference, Big 12 conference, is tremendous. And I know that stadium is going to be, out of control. They've always had a tremendous crowd, and I'm really looking forward to, having the opportunity to play against those guys and show what, JMU is made of.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, we're looking forward to watching you play this year, watching
JMU
JMU play this year. We couldn't be more excited about this partnership and thrilled to meet you. Thanks for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, that was Rashad Robinson. Again, we really enjoyed his company when we were in Baltimore. I'm looking forward to catching up with him again, hopefully on this road trip, and watching him play this year. A phenomenal talent. As he said, a high school quarterback who had no stars from rivals or 24/7 and has turned that into a fantastic college career, and I think a guy that you'll find on an NFL roster this time next year. So thanks again to Rashad for the time. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, I know. College football attendance controversy on Bootleg. Let's dig into it, man.
Let's do it.
Attendance is downish a little bit in college football.
Yep.
Sort of. Really, so I looked it up last night. The SEC was down a smidge last year. The Big 12 was up a smidge. The Big 10 was up a little more than the Big 12, and the Pac-12 was down for real. It was down like 6%.
It's not good.
So if we're talking Power 5, and we should be because no one's ever showed up to watch Bowling Green play Ball State on a Thursday. I watch on TV, but I see the stands. Plenty of great seats available.
I have been to those weeknight games, my friends.
I know you have. You're one of the 93 people in the stadium, which I can appreciate that. Shout out to the Bobcats. But generally speaking, I'm sure those are dragging down attendance.
No,
annually.
they are. And trust me, I skipped some too. Because it's very cold.
Yeah. Yeah. A Thursday night game against, I don't want to offend anybody. Who's somebody in the MAC that...
Well, one that I really remember, there was a Western Michigan one and a Temple one when Temple was still in the MAC before they left the MAC. Were just absolutely brutally cold.
I can imagine. So anyway, the point is, those are included in the FBS total.
Yes.
They're going to drag it down every year. But the Pac-12 is the anchor that accidentally fell off the boat, as we're talking about the Power 5. It kind of seems like a lot is being made about nothing, if you ask me, just because the FBS attendance has dropped every year since 2013, and I guess you can't ignore that. And then last year, the number was the lowest since 1996.
Okay.
That's not great.
No.
So, yeah, people are freaking out. Pat Fitzgerald wants to take away your phones.
I can assure Pat it has nothing to do with phones.
I would actually contend that one of the solutions to this pseudo problem in college football is the exact opposite of taking away people's phones. So, if you want to just dive right into it, what is your 30,000-foot view on the problem? Is it a problem? And if it's a problem, how would you solve it?
I think it's a small problem. I wouldn't say it's sound the alarms, threat level midnight. College football's screwed and never coming back because it's clearly not. It's a billion-dollar business.
Yeah, it's fine.
And I can't remember the exact number.
Football video game back. But.
Yes. But of the 20 most watched programs last year, 10 of them were college football games. Mm-hmm. On TV, every kind of show possible. 10 of them were college football games. So it's not going anywhere. I guess probably the biggest thing is people don't want to deal with the hassle of going to a game, the parking, the weather, the super cold or the super hot, the rain, the snow, whatever it is. And then you throw in, tickets aren't cheap.
No,
especially
look at that Texas LSU game.
I was about to say, especially to these bigger ones where fans would want to go. It's ridiculous how they skyrocket. So it's a hassle to go when you can just sit there, and the viewing experience at home has never been better. Now you can watch 20 games if you have just a basic sports package on your cable. And that doesn't even include all the stuff you can watch online. So it's just easier than ever.
Or on the FloSports app.
That's right. So to me, it's a very small problem. And like you said, probably too much is being made about it. Yeah. Because the sport is in a really, really healthy spot right now.
Yeah. I mean, look, you hit it on the head. It's TV and it's comfort and it's the inconvenience of going to the games. But I don't know. I still love going to the games.
I do too. And me and you are kind of in the rarity of the younger generation that doesn't mind. I froze my ass off in Stillwater in a lucky outfit because I thought it could help us win.
Dude, the same night I was in Norman at the freaking Kansas game, freezing my ass off in a jean jacket while I went in the bathroom and hung out for 20 minutes so I could thaw out.
And I wore the same outfit when West Virginia played Texas here in Austin, and it was 80 degrees, and I was sweating my ass off, but I refused to take my quarter zip off because we wanted it. So we're in the minority that doesn't care about the weather. We're going to go to the games because I find great enjoyment going and seeing it in person and experiencing all the fanfare and pageantry that goes into it. But I don't blame people. It's pretty awesome to sit on your couch and watch 30 different games on a Saturday while eating and drinking whatever you want.
Dude, I plan on turning my house into college football central this year, and there are a million great things about it. I mean, no disrespect to TVs or any of that, because I'm the champion of that cause as well. But I do think that there are some ways that if I were the czar of college football,
let's hear it.
I have 5-ish ways that I could fix it. Starting with bandwidth at the stadium. And I'm beyond tired of going to a game and then not being able to use my phone as soon as I walk in the stadium. It's like magic. As soon as I check my ticket or they scan my ticket, my phone just stops working. And half the damn stadiums are named after cell phone companies. How am I at AT&T Stadium and I got one LTE bar?
Right.
What are we doing here? I think that college teams would do well to massively expand their bandwidth inside the stadium to allow fans to be able to keep track of what's going on outside the game on their phones. So,
also post things about the game.
Absolutely, yeah, an interactive experience. So, all due respect to Pat Fitzgerald, phenomenal coach, maybe not a phenomenal problem solver when it comes to this, because I don't think phones are the problem at all. I actually think that if you treat them like the problem, you're exacerbating the whole thing. Yeah. You need to embrace the phone, embrace the year 2019 of our Lord, and get some damn bandwidth in that place, and let's Instagram story it up.
Let's do it.
The other thing that I think is an obvious fix is the use of the video board. You go into a stadium. Look, I'm sorry, but no one gives a damn about soccer season tickets. Yeah. So it's every time there's a break into action, there's some video on the board that nobody really cares about. instead of that, instead of trying to promote other and I get why they're trying to promote other programs, but I'm just telling you, like, the people that are at that game, if they cared about the soccer program, they already know how to get season tickets.
Yeah.
And they already know how to get them, because if they care, that means that their kid plays on the team. Like, that's your demo, okay? They know how to obtain seats at those games. You don't need to use time on the video board to promote that during a game. Instead of doing that, why don't every time there's a break in the action, every time there's a TV timeout or an injury timeout for that matter, let's throw some highlights up on the board. Like, let me know what's happening around the country. It should be like, if you're at home and you're watching a game on TV, that's how they treat it. When there's a break in the action, we'll do a quick whip around. We'll hit either if you're on CBS for like the SEC game of the week, then they'll always do a whip around the league. So you can do that. If you're at an Arkansas game, show me the SEC and or show me the top 25.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in an Oklahoma game and we're coming into the week ranked number 5, I want to know how number 3 and 4 are doing, and I want to know right now. And if I can't see it on my phone because the bandwidth sucks, it would be really helpful if you'd at least show me on the board whenever there's a TV timeout. So between the bandwidth and the video board, I think we're making progress here.
Agreed.
And then the other thing is let the fans come and go. So I went to Arkansas TCU a couple of years ago in Fort Worth, and altogether new experience for me because TCU lets their fans come and go in and out of the stadium as they please. I can tell you Oklahoma does not. I know for a fact. West Virginia does not. Arkansas does not. It's a much more inviting prospect to attend a game in person when you know you're not making a 3-hour commitment or else.
It's funny, they used to in Morgantown, because I remember going as a kid, and at halftime we'd go out to the tailgate that was right there beside the stadium to our tailgate. We'd get some food, have a few drinks, and then come back in. If it wasn't a blowout, if it was a blowout by halftime, we'd just stay out there. Out. But if it was a good game, we'd come back in. Yeah,
so exactly. That was exactly like my experience at TCU was we left the game at halftime, went out to the tailgate, which was right outside. I mean, it took us 10 minutes to get from our seat to the tailgate tent. Had some beverages, had a little snack, watched a couple of other games that were going on during halftime, socialized with our friends who were not sitting with us. And that's the other thing. When you get tickets to a game, just because you and me decide we want to make the investment to spend $700 to watch LSU Texas, that doesn't mean that our friends are going to do that.
Right.
Or if they do, like in the case of this particular TCU game I'm talking about, we went with a couple of friends, but we couldn't find seats with 4 together as cheap as we could 2 together. So they were in the corner and we were over here. We could reconvene at the tailgate, a little camaraderie, little brotherhood, sisterhood, if you will. So that was a really nice little wrinkle, I thought. And then we came back in for the final 25 or so minutes of that game. And it ended up being a classic finish that we got to watch because we weren't given the ultimatum of sit here for the entire thing.
Forever hold your peace.
Or forever hold your peace, exactly. So I think if you let fans come and go, and I understand there's obvious security issues with that, but if TCU can do it, everybody else can do it too.
Right.
So also would make the food and drink, the concessions, much cheaper. And look, this is no mystery. We all understand they're making money hand over fist on the concession food. I can go buy a 12-pack of Bud Light from the grocery store for like $1 a can. And for the price of a few hot dogs at a football game, I could just do ribeyes on my grill. Now, you tell me, you want to buy a $7 beer, do you want to have 7 beers for $7? Yeah. And do you want to eat hot dogs from a concession, or would you rather have a ribeye?
You're seeing, well, I don't want to say some schools because I only really know of one, but the Falcons made that change where they went much cheaper with their concession stand when they moved in the new stadium, and they saw it worked out really well. And then actually Texas cut their prices pretty big across the board last season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I saw that they did that this morning, actually. I was reading an article about that, which is great. And everybody else ought to do that, too, because at the end of the day,
it's just going to encourage people to spend more money there.
Yeah. That's exactly, like, when you go to a Texas Rangers baseball game on Dollar Hot Dog Night, bro, I buy like 9 hot dogs.
Yeah.
So they're still getting their money, just same as they were before, but it feels like a more inviting prospect for me to go to the concession and get a bunch of food. And also, I'm not tempted to smuggle in some M&Ms, if that's the case. Right. So... I think that, and I'll tell you this too, it doesn't matter how much money they're making on concessions if no one's there to watch and buy food from the concessions.
Yeah.
So if they want to pack the house, it wouldn't hurt if they lower the price on the concessions, and I do think they would actually end up money ahead on that deal because more people would be willing to go to the concession stands. Parking. That's the other thing I have here. Fixed parking. it's bullshit that you have to park a mile from the stadium, and if you want to do anything under $50.
I was about to say, and pay an arm and a leg to park.
Yeah, $20 to park a mile and a quarter from. Yeah, it's
Yep.
ridiculous. There's no reason for it, and I don't know to what extent the league or even the school can really control it, because a lot of it's like people's yards. But there has to be some kind of a solution that makes. I'll tell you right now, if the school didn't charge you $100 to park in the preferred lots, then the people with the front yard with a sign for $50 down the road couldn't do that either,
Right.
because
They'd have to go
they're
lower.
charging you relative to the cost of what it would take for you to be up next to the stadium. So parking is an issue. And the last thing I will say, and this is also kind of a hot button issue, but schedule better. If
Yep.
and look, I'm not the guy that shouts about FCS opponents being a problem. I mean, look, for one thing, there are a handful of FCS teams that can go toe-to-toe with a lot of these FBS programs. So
James Madison.
JMU, what's up? You ever heard of them?
Yeah.
So, or Towson for that matter. I mean, Towson gave Wake a little scare for a quarter. I don't want to get into all that again. But the point is, there are some FCS programs that are worthy of FBS opponents. Beyond that, I just don't care. I mean, maybe that's because I grew up cheering for a team that plays in the SEC and needs a break every so often, or OU, who schedules as well as anybody outside of its conference. They have a heavyweight every year, and I'm not bothered by South Dakota being on the schedule between Houston and UCLA. Like, yeah, let's do a South Dakota week, right?
Yep.
So that doesn't really bother me. That said, and Lord knows they need it, but Arkansas has a non-conference schedule this year that is just
It's
woof.
and
We got Portland State, San Jose State, Western Kentucky, and the heavyweight is Colorado State. That's their non-con.
yeah, I remember I did an article last year of the weakest non-conference schedules, and they were on there as well last year too.
Yeah. And look, again, I know they need the wins this year. I'm not mad about it, really. If I'm trying to get a team to a bowl game, trying to rebuild a program, that's fine. I understand where it comes from. They've got Notre Dame on the schedule next year. They've got Texas on the schedule the year after that.
Oh, it gets much better, yeah.
But even in 2021, when they have Texas on the schedule, they're still playing home games against UAPB and Missouri State. So give me one of the two, but
And
come on, man.
you're seeing schools like, I know The Athletic just did a really cool piece on Alabama doing this, but they looked at their schedule and they were like, if we want students to come, we have to give them a reason to.
Yeah.
And it's going out and scheduling. I know for a while Alabama's thing was one big heavyweight non-conference to start the season. Well, now they're getting away from that and they're doing home and homes. They have them with Oklahoma. They have them with they just announced Wisconsin the other day, a home and home. They have them with Texas. They have one with West Virginia coming up as well. Yep. So they're going out and doing this. Oklahoma's doing it. They've played recently, did the home and home with Ohio State. I know they couldn't foresee UCLA being like this, like they are now, but the UCLA. And I know this one just because I'm a fan of West Virginia, but Purdue and West Virginia the past 2 seasons are the only teams to play 11 Power 5 opponents.
Right.
And West Virginia is doing it the next 6 years as well.
Damn, shout out to the Mountaineers.
So they know what's going to sell tickets.
Yeah.
And also West Virginia is getting back to these regional rivalries. So we have Virginia Tech on the schedule. We have Pitt and Maryland on the schedule, and Penn State.
That's
so,
important.
Yeah.
It's not even just about playing heavyweights. It's about playing heavyweights that matter to people.
Exactly.
Like, with Texas and Notre Dame, with Arkansas, sure.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I did see that so Arkansas and Utah yesterday announced that they're going to play
I like it, yeah.
2026 and 2028. I was going to make this more of a topic, but just in passing, which head coach would you give the better odds of still being the coach in 2026? Chad Morris or Kyle Whittingham?
I'm going to say Kyle Whittingham. And
what is your logic?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because I'm about to follow up.
Okay, let's go.
There are certain coaches you can just not picture anywhere else. Like, where would Kyle Whittingham go? I think he is very, very comfortable at Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, he could, absolutely, I think could be a good coach at a next step up, a Washington State, maybe when Mike Leach leaves, or a USC even, or something like that. But to me, he's just he fits in perfectly. He knows what Utah is. He knows how to win there. And every year seems to exceed expectations a little bit for whatever that team is supposed to be that year. So he just seems like a guy like Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. Can you picture him anywhere else?
I almost pictured him at Tennessee at one point, but no, not really.
Right, exactly. They kind of had a little flirtation,
Yeah.
and then Gundy decided to stay in Stillwater.
Yeah.
He's a very good coach, and he is very comfortable where he is and knows how to win at Oklahoma State, which is not an easy thing to do.
No, and once you got the recipe, you know the recipe.
Exactly. Why not stay there? And the grass isn't always greener.
No.
You may make a little bit more money, but you can be there for 3 years and they run you out of town.
Yeah, and then the grass is dead.
Exactly. And then Chad Morris, I like him, and I obviously want him to win, but I don't know if they're going to give him enough time. Are they going to stay patient enough with him?
So I think,
That's a long time away.
yeah. So look, I'll say this. I think Chad can turn Arkansas around. I think that he was the right hire at the right time for that job. If he doesn't, then yeah, he's probably got like 3 to 4 more years of leash. And depending on the results, I mean, Arkansas fans, I'll say this, Bielema beat them into the ground. I mean, expectations in Arkansas used to be very high. Ask Houston Nutt. And then Bobby Petrino came in, and all he did was reinforce the theory that, hey, we should be competing at the highest level every year. Petrino, he vindicated all of that thought process within the fan base because for 3 years, Arkansas was as good as anybody. Then Bielema buried that thing to the extent that he took the pride from the fans to such an extent that everybody was just like, dude, whatever. Like, I guess we suck. I don't know. Like, I've never seen more apathy within the fan base than what I did Bielema's last year. People were just beaten down. So Chad will get a little bit of leash. I don't think that he necessarily is going to need a lot of leash because, again, I think he's the right guy for the job. He's recruiting at a high level. Primarily, he's able to recruit the state of Texas, which is a must if you're going to win at Arkansas. You have to be able to get into Texas. But that last thing is why I also think that Whittingham has a better chance of still being the head coach in 2026 at his respective school. If Chad does well at Arkansas, I'm not saying that he would leave for just any old job, and obviously I would never say that because I'm incredibly biased, but I truly don't think – I think that Arkansas is a fantastic fit for him. I don't think he would leave that for any old job. But I do think that if he wins at Arkansas and doesn't go well for Jimbo at A&M, Baylor I think is a dark horse. Maybe Gary Patterson has run at TCU come to an end. Probably not Tech. But point being, if an opportunity opens up that is a fit for Chad Morris in the state of Texas, I think he comes home because then imagine how much more effective he'll be recruiting the state of Texas.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. Well, that was better than I thought it would be.
What does Arkansas need to do this year to keep him off the hot seat? Because I mean, if they do the same thing as last year, he's going to be on the hot seat heading into next year.
Yeah, there needs to be progress.
So like
I think
5 and 7 or
I think 4 wins would be enough.
Okay.
I think 4 wins and 1 SEC win will get people to relax. I would say that the Week 2 game against Ole Miss is the biggest thing on that schedule because you've got Ole Miss sandwiched with all those other teams that I just talked about. Portland State, automatic win. San Jose State, automatic win. Western Kentucky, automatic win. Colorado State ought to be an automatic win if you don't repeat what happened last year. So if you get that Ole Miss game, now you're at 5.
right.
Now you just need to steal one from somebody else at some point along the way, and oh shit, you're in a bowl game. So if he starts 4-0, he's going to win 5, and the fan base is going to relax. Even if he doesn't end up in a bowl game, even if he starts 4-0 and finishes 1-7, he'll still be all right. 5-7 is good progress.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we're a little up against the clock at this point. So I guess we'll shut up. Normally we run out of things to talk about. Today I feel like we could have gone 2 hours if we needed to.
It was good stuff today.
I know. We'll wrap it up now. Best of luck to your best friend Casey Kreider tonight in the Hall of Fame game.
I gave him a shout out on FRL, but yeah, Casey Kreider donated us this helmet, All-Pro long snapper for the Denver Broncos. Watch him tonight in the Hall of Fame game, number 42.
Yeah, I'll be using my hotspot. I don't have internet yet. My hotspot will get the job done. I'll have Broncos and Falcons fired up, and we are back. Football is back until February, so
That's
rejoice.
Right. Thank God.
And keep in mind that the key to doing the bootleg
He's doing it naked.